going, guys? So we've been doing a lot of Fiero content lately, and I figured it's time to give the truck a little bit of love again. So today's job is going to be something that is actually a little out of the realm of what I normally kind of do. It's going to be cleaner, not exactly greasy and dirty, at least ideally. So something that's been bothering me on this truck for a little bit is the back window. The window tint on it, I put it on a couple of years ago, and it's now basically completely bubbly and nasty and just looks terrible on the back of the truck. Now, when I did this, I bought pretty much the cheapest possible tint I could buy. I know generally how to apply tint. I am not someone who markets it to anybody because I'm not that good. I know how to generally cut stuff that sticks to glass and looks alright. But when I did it, I used the cheapest possible tint, and one thing I found was that after having this truck for a little bit, because I never had a pickup, is that single cabs get extremely hot through that back glass on a summer day when the sun's beating through the back. So, on top of just getting new tint for it, which will look better, I went and got this, which we're going to try it out, and I'm going to see if I like it. This is United Professional Window Film. It's carbon tint. So they sell it on Amazon. You can get it. I think this is like $65 for like a 100-foot roll. And the idea is it's a special window tint for reflecting UV rays and keeping things actually cool in the interior. Now, I ran something similar to this a few years back on the Fiero, and I still have it on the passenger windows. It is, I think on the Fiero, it's not carbon, because carbon wasn't available then or wasn't as reasonably priced. It was like ceramic, which would actually, and you could tell. You could actually tell in it just a little bit, the temperatures got a little cooler inside on the side glass. Never did the back. So, the side windows I'm going to leave alone, the windshield bar I'm going to leave alone today, but we're going to peel off that back tint and we're going to replace it with this stuff, and hopefully it helps keep things a little bit cooler inside. So, let me get you over here and I'll start showing you what we're going to do with doing this. Basically, it's pretty simple, but we need to peel the old tint off, make sure it's actually clean on both sides of the glass. Once that's done, the process basically consists of spraying the outside of the glass with soapy water, taking the window tint, you cut a section about the right size, and laying it over the glass on the exterior. And then what you're going to do is you're going to cut around that outer edge so that it matches the exterior of the glass, because that's what's visible. Then you take it and you go inside, peel your protective film, and stick it to the inside. Then you have to work all your little bubbles out. So I'll walk you through that, show you how we're going to do it. Hopefully by the end of the day, that back glass is now looking dark again, no bubbles, and hopefully when it actually gets hot again, or the sun's beating through that back glass, it doesn't start giving you that sunburn. So, all right, let's get started. Okay guys, let me show you what we're dealing with here at the tint. So you can kind of see, look at how the bubbling has happened. And this has happened over quite a while. Like I said, I put this tint in probably back in 2017, something like that. So let me see, get in here. See if we can start peeling some of this stuff and get it off the glass so we can start putting the good stuff on. And see if we even need a razor blade to get this stuff off, or if I can just peel it by hand. Stuff's kind of, like I said, it's been on here for a minute. Let me start with that. Start cutting it. Like I said, this is the world's cheapest tint. So we're going to take it off. Now the other thing, you're probably seeing this already, is it's leaving like glue residue, which is, hoping it wouldn't, and that means we're gonna have to clean that off before we can put tint on it. I'm gonna do a little looking around, see what people are using these days to clean it. We can just use normal glass cleaner, or if I'm gonna have to get some ammonia or something crazy like that. But this stuff is certainly past its expiration date. At least it is coming off pretty easy. It's going to be a pain. I scrape all of it, unfortunately. It's going to be a pain probably cleaning off the glue. Hopefully you can come up with something you can just spray on it and just peel it all right off or wipe it right off, but I don't know. My luck doesn't tend to be that good. I'm gonna get a scraper handle for this here in a second. I always hate dealing with stuff like this, and window tint is not a lot of fun. Now, nice thing is if you figure out how to put it on, like, again, like, I mean, this is bubbling, but this is 2 years old of dirt cheap tint. But you figure out how to put it on, as long as you don't have something that you care about it being absolutely perfect, you can tint your own windows for pretty reasonable. I don't know what most people are charging these days. I know it used to be something like $25 a window, which, you know, that wasn't bad, but I would expect now with the cost of living and the way everything costs, it's probably more like $50 to $100 a window, and I just don't want to pay that. I really don't, especially when it just means I just have to do a few hours of work on my day off. That's not that big a deal. It's like a lot of things I learned when I started working on cars, and a lot of things I learned because I couldn't afford to pay anyone to do them. You learn these things, you figure them out. You don't, you know, that individual task you now know how to do, and no one can take that from you. You're good now. You can do it for yourself. And number two, it kind of raises your confidence on everything else. You get good enough that you're like, well, I mean, I don't have to pay somebody to do everything in my life that I need to get done. You can learn to do stuff yourself, which, I mean, that's independence. So that's one window down, and I'll start pulling tint off the other ones. We'll start figuring out what we need to do to pull or get the glue off of here, because there's not too much left, but there's definitely enough to be a problem. Okay guys, let me show you what I've been doing here. So as you can see, I did a test window. That's much cleaner than the others. So what I've been using, and this is just an old squirt bottle, but I had somebody suggest this to me a while back when I was trying to get seafoam stains off the glass in our charger. When we bought it, it had like, I guess someone left the windows down and never cleaned it up, and there was sea wash, or like the salt and spray stuck to the glass. So this is 50-50 vinegar and water. And what I've been doing with it, I'll show you, is basically spraying it on the glass, and then I'd take a razor blade and scrape until you get pretty much all of it. It'll start to build up at the bottom here if you just keep scraping down. Then take a rag, a paper towel, wipe it, and repeat. And what this has come out to is actually a very nice, clean piece of glass. So I'm gonna get the other ones cleaned up, and then we can start laying and cutting tint and see if we can get this project done. Okay guys, so let's take a look at the tint we got here. Pull it out. And so I'll put a link to this in the comments, I guess, or one thing. So that's neat. They give you, I guess you can actually put it on like it's a roll. So this is 5%. This is limo tint. They apparently offer all the way down to 3.5, which I was kind of it's already hard enough to see out of this thing. I'm okay with 5. So, alright, so I guess this is where we peel to start. Oh, there we go. So there's, it's hard for you to see, but there's a line here. This is the arrow. And I'm just going to peel it. This is fun. There we go. See, it's starting to deform a little. Okay. But the way tint works, and so it looks like you obviously got this black layer here. Okay, so this is your window tint. You've got 2 layers on it, or 3 layers really. You've got the actual tint itself, and you've got a protective, well, it depends on the tint. It looks like this one, play with it with a razor blade. But typically you have the adhesive side, which I'll have to figure out which side is the adhesive. It's going to be whichever one has the film usually. And, well, it has to be. And so you basically lay this down over your surface, like, say, that were your window. You'll spray it with water, it'll stick to it, it'll contact cling, and then you take a razor blade and very carefully cut it to the dimensions you need, and with the glue side facing out. Then you take it off the outside of the glass and you'll go to the inside of the vehicle, peel the film, and stick it to the inside of the glass. And lay it out, push all the bubbles out of it, and then from there, you let it cure. But that's why it's extremely important that the inside of your glass be extremely clean, and it's really, really your outside should at the very least be normally clean. It doesn't necessarily need to be, since the side that's contacting it can be washed up later and stuff, I guess it doesn't have to be sanitary, like eat off of it clean, but you don't want dirt and debris on it. So let me get a section cut that fits roughly one of the glass panels on the back of the truck and figure out which side's the glue side. and I'll squirt some water on there or soapy water is what you use, and we'll start trimming it. Okay, let's start by soaking down. We'll start with this window. So this is just like Dawn dish soap and water. And this is cut way oversized, but just to start, what we're gonna do is take it, and I usually like to, again, I only do this every handful of years, so I like to try and find a corner that is fairly square and matches to it somewhere, and just use that to start, find an edge, and that'll work for me, like that. I'm gonna put my razor blade there. I'm gonna take my razor blade. I've got one spot down here I need to trim, so let me do that real quick. Yeah, I'm not a tint master by any stretch. The reason I don't charge anybody for doing this is just me, but you can do this. All right, so that's squared up along this edge. That should work. It may not be absolutely perfect, but it's pretty close. So what we're gonna do is push it out to the edges here. What we want to do is conform it to the outer edges of what we're dealing with here, like that. Okay. And then you can cut your tint. Just take your razor blade. Just make sure you cut it basically over where the edges of the dark sides of the window are. And it can be trimmed a little bit once you get inside too, but you want it trimmed in such a way that basically once you have, like you'll be able, you can see what I'm kind of doing here, you'll be able to peel this off, and it'll look like it's already on. And this is why you buy large rolls, because you may have to do this a couple times, especially if you're like me and cut some of this stuff a little too big. Let's see here. Let's see if I can shorten this up for myself a little bit. Scissors are handy too. Alright. So I've got that done. Now I can take it and trim it all the way up into there. And it should, you basically got it. So now I've got it on the glass, and it looks like, basically, like it's already tinted. I mean, very bubbly, but it looks like it's tinted. So from here, I can peel this off, and I'll go in the truck and I'll take this outer layer, and this can slap against the glass. Now we're going to spray the inside with water, slap it on the glass, and then we will we'll slowly push all the water. I nicked myself. That's fun. Razor blades are good, kids. Careful with them. But we'll push the water out of it and get it nice and flat. You can always, especially when this stuff's new, you can peel right back off. If you don't like the way it fits, you can cut another panel. I've got it a little short on this side. Hopefully it works. I think I'll be able to make it work. We'll have to see. I'll have to get it in the truck and see. You can also just put it up against glass on the inside and see how well it fits. So, all right, let me get in there and we'll see about putting this on the glass. Okay, so you can see here what I've done is I put it on the inside of the glass now, and we're test fitting the film. I've got a little bit of looseness here at the bottom. I'm gonna let it ride right now because I can slap a little bit of extra tint there if I need to. Or I'm more concerned with just trying to get this on the glass and it looked better than it did. For most of the part, we don't have a lot of light leakage or any light leakage around there, and we don't have any here. So, if this glass also has some weird silicone work I've done around the sides and stuff, it's an old truck. But again, I do this just about often enough to be knowledgeable, not enough to be extremely proficient. So it'll work. But so let me get it stuck on the inside, start pushing it out. You'll be able to see how that looks. Okay. Like I said, we got it test fitted up here. Let me see if I can pull it down. What we're gonna do is that this side's the side with the sticky stuff. It currently has just soapy water on it. Still has the film protector. Now it should be a little easier on this one, but the rest, because this one still has a little bit of the tape to pull off the outer bit. We want to squirt it down again, and we do this so we can move it. If we don't have this on here, then once you get it put on here, it's going to actually like stick immediately, and then you're not going to be able to push bubbles out. So that's why you want it wetted down so you can work with it. So let me see if I can get the sticky bit off this tint. Now, something to keep in mind too is, again, this is why you buy a fairly big roll of it. You will find, and we might find here in a second, that you end up with this stuff trying to turn into a crumpled mess on you, and if it does, okay, just cut a new piece. It's fine. All right, so I like to go ahead and it's a piece of something for the outside. Okay, stick it on there. Like I said, we got all this soapy water on here. I'm gonna pull the tint. You need to be careful doing this because you can also put a crease in the tint like it's trying to do right now. It'll fight you, and you'll end up with a hard spot where it's kind of not wanting to come off. So just smoothly peel it, keep it in place. This is where, again, a garage is really nice because if it's hot and sunny outside, you're going to run into problems with this trying to boil off real quick, and it'll just start immediately trying to permanently adhere itself. So what we want here, it's already trying to stick. I don't have quite enough water, but get it up in there. Alright, so we are generally in place. Now that's why you want your water on first. You want it like soak it. You can't have too much because you can't put it back. You can't reapply any more water once it's up here. So that'll do. It's not the tightest window tint cut ever, but it'll do. It's got a little bit of, peel that up. Just do that. There we go. You might need a razor blade for that. But let's start. What you want to do is gently push your bubbles out. Start at the top. Work your way around. You want to start at the top because obviously if you push it out the top, water might run down it and through it, which you don't want. This is also why you want your glass as absolutely clean as possible when you apply this stuff, because you don't want it, you just do not want dirt stuck under your window tint forever. Now, I can already see I cut this a tiny bit too small on the right side for where it currently is, but I'm at the halfway point now where I can't peel this tint back up really unless I just want to throw it away, because it's not gonna work. It'll start to kink and tear and get weird shapes in it. So we'll go with it for now, and if we decide it's so terrible I just can't live with it, I'll deal with it. I'll cut a new piece. But for now, just keep pushing the water out. Lay flat. Don't be worried too much if it looks a little ugly on the back side here right now. You'll wipe it down later, and if it, like I said, some tint I think has an exterior, has another protective coating on the back side that you can peel, but generally speaking, you'll just be wiping all this stuff off later. So you can see we're getting all the bubbles out of it. razor blade to do is a little bit of trimming on it, but you can see it's leveling out nicely. I've heard some people talk about using heat guns to kind of boil out the water quicker to kind of adhere this thing. I mean, you can. I personally am not a fan of it because I want as much time to work with it as possible, and I don't want to take the chance of creating little boiled air bubbles in it, but it is an option. Probably more of a thing you'd want to do if it were very cold. If you're, I don't know, doing this, applying tint, and it's, 30 degrees outside, a heat gun might help you a little bit. We're just going to keep going around, keep pushing out bubbles. I gotta say, it's not absolutely perfect, but I'm pretty happy with it so far. Especially considering, I mean, it's not like I paid anyone to do it. I'm only out my own time. Grab a razor blade so I can trim it just a little bit there at the top. All it needed was just a little bit of trimming to get some of the fat off it. Hopefully, lay it down, get the stick. Trimmed off a very thin bit there. Hopefully we can just press it flat now. You want to try and make sure this stuff actually adheres at all the edges. If you've got a little bit laying over where it's kind of bubbling up, it might be, you won't be able to see it per se, but it will lead to it potentially trying to come off the glass later because it's essentially a place where it's already kind of almost got like an ear on the tint, and it'll try and peel itself up. So you do the best you can. Like I said, a lot of room to learn on this. And if you get it figured out a lot better than me, you can start making a little bit of side money. That'd be nice. Alright. I think that's pretty good for that window. Let's get back outside. We'll start cutting these panels to fit these other ones. Do one at a time. So we'll go out and do that one, come back into it, just work our way across, and hopefully, pretty soon, we've got some nice, freshly tinted windows. out awesome. I'm really happy with this. It looks a lot nicer, a lot more like a car that just got its windows tinted correctly. There's no real bubbles in it. I've got a couple little adherence issues in a couple spots. I'll have to keep an eye on it. I might have to come back. I might even have to replace the whole little panel. But I've got all the tint in the world to do it. There's probably at least another 90, 95 feet in here of window tint. More than enough if I ever need to do it again. And I hope this kind of inspires you to like do it yourself. You know, if you've never done this before, but you'd like to be able to do it, not just to maybe save a little bit of money, but the big thing is, you know how to do it. You now can do it for yourself, and that's kind of huge. The first time I ever had to do this, I just couldn't afford to pay anyone to do it on the Fiero, and I was gonna learn. And first time I did it, came out about like this. It's really not that difficult. It just takes a little bit of patience. So, like I said, hope that kind of inspired you. If that's what you're watching this for, do it. If that's not what you're doing, then I hope at least it was entertaining a little bit. And if you enjoyed watching this, please like, comment, subscribe. It helps with the channel. It helps build things up. The YouTube algorithm will bring more people, more views. Everything gets a little bit better. So I really appreciate anybody who's watching. I hope you enjoy watching this. All right. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.